Hi everyone, I wanted to make a video about plagiarism because this is an issue that isn't always as black and white as it may seem. A lot of students really struggle with plagiarism. Now, I think we all know that if you just go on the internet and you copy a paper and you submit it as your own, that's plagiarism. But that's just a very small fraction of what teachers actually deal with in regards to plagiarism. So while you shouldn't do that, there's a lot of other issues that you also want to be careful of. So one of the main things is you should know that if you use a quote from anywhere on the internet, anywhere in the whole world, you have to put it in quotation marks and you have to cite it. You can't just do one or the other, you have to do both. So if you take a quote, you have to put it in quotation marks and cite it. If it's over 40 words or 4 lines, you can use a block quotation and format it that way and cite it. You can look that up. It's something you're not going to use as often, and you don't want to use long quotes too often because they can really overwhelm your essays. So if you use a quote, remember quotation marks and citations, in text citation and a works cited or a reference. Now, one of the things you want to remember here is that this is true if it's a definition or anything like that. A lot of times students think if it's a definition, if it's something that's, kind of easily accessible, maybe you don't have to do that. You still have to do that. If you're using someone else's words, word for word, it has to be in quotation marks and it has to be cited. Now, if you read something that someone else wrote and you think, oh, that's a really interesting point, let me use this point in my paper, you still have to cite it even if you put it in your own words. I have another video about paraphrasing and you should definitely check that out because it's easy to plagiarize accidentally when you're trying to paraphrase. You could try to put something in your own words and it's really too close to the original, and that's still plagiarism. If you take somebody else's thoughts and you use it without giving them credit, or if you make your sentence too close to their sentence, that's still plagiarism. Another thing that's plagiarism is if you use facts, statistics, things like that, and you don't cite them. That's taking information from a source and not giving credit. So you must give credit there. Now, there's another issue that is also plagiarism that students often don't realize is plagiarism, and this is when you self-plagiarize. You cannot reuse work from a previous class without getting explicit written permission from both professors, the one from the class that you wrote the assignment for and the one for the new class. It's unlikely that you're going to get permission for this unless something happened. Sometimes we'll make exceptions with things like, say, you were halfway through a class and you got into an accident or something like that and you have to retake the class, not because of anything that was your own fault. So occasionally we'll make exceptions for things like that, but for the most part, it's expected that you're going to do original work for every single class, so you can self-plagiarize. I, have had to give a lot of zeros for this. If you reuse your own work from another class, that is plagiarism. So this list is not exhaustive. There are other forms of plagiarism, but off the top of my head, these are really the most common ones that I come across. Now, all assignments are run through Turnitin, and we also have the ability to run forums through Turnitin. So your forums, just like your essays, you have to write in your words. And there's one more type of plagiarism that I just thought of that most people really don't realize is plagiarism, and that is when too much of your assignment is quoted. Now, if you use proper quotation marks, proper citations, but your quotes overwhelm your essay, that is a form of plagiarism. The vast majority of your assignment is expected to be in your own words. Purdue OWL suggests under 10%. The English department in our school generally says under 20%. You can ask your specific professor about this. Some forum assignments are going to be a little heavier on quotes than others, but for the most part, 20% is usually pretty safe, under 20%. I say write 5 words of original thought for every 5 sentences of original thought for every 1 sentence of quotes that you use. This will usually keep you under 20% and keep you pretty safe, especially if you avoid using quotes in your introduction and avoid using quotes in your conclusion, which is definitely something I suggest because you really want your audience, your reader, to hear your voice and get a sense of your voice as the author in the introduction and in the conclusion. So to wrap up, what you want to remember is if you use anything word for word from another source from anywhere anything, you must use quotation marks and an in-text citation. If you use any information from another source, you must use an in-text citation, even if it's in your own words, and you cannot reuse your own work from a previous class in any school. And that's pretty much what I wanted to say. So I hope that this helped you guys understand plagiarism a little better. Thanks.